Hi, I'm Blake, 29, and 2 weeks ago, my mom called to say, "Your sister's baby shower is the family's priority. We can't come to your wedding." I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just smiled and said, "That's fine." Because they had no idea where the wedding was. Or that I own a $2 million villa on the Amalfi Coast. Let's begin. I've always been the responsible one. You know the type. Oldest sibling. Good grades. Reliable job. I'm a CPA with a client list that could give a hedge fund chills. I wear loafers unironically and keep a spreadsheet for everything, including vacations. To my family, that makes me useful, not lovable. My sister Eden? She's the golden child. Always has been. She failed out of nursing school, started 3 Etsy shops that went nowhere, and somehow still gets a round of applause for breathing. When she announced she was pregnant, my parents acted like the second coming was on its way. I congratulated her. Sent flowers. Bought a high-end stroller. Didn't expect much in return. So when Mara and I got engaged, we kept things simple. We planned a small wedding. Just 30 people. No drama. I sent my parents a beautiful invite 6 months in advance, offered to cover their travel, and even found them a luxury guest house near the venue. 3 weeks before the ceremony, I called to confirm. My mom didn't say hello. She said, "Eden's baby shower is that weekend. You understand. We need to be there for her." It wasn't a request. It was a verdict. I took a breath. "Got it," I said. She added, "We'll send a gift." I said, "That's fine." And hung up. She didn't ask where the wedding was. She didn't know I wasn't even in the country. And I had no intention of telling her. Because that $2 million villa on the cliffs of Ravello? It's mine. Bought in cash after years of late nights, freelance audits, and stock options no one believed in. Mara and I were going to get married on that terrace, with lemon trees swaying and violins playing and the Mediterranean clapping behind us. No baby shower balloons. No passive-aggressive guilt trips. No family drama. Just us. And the people who actually showed up. I didn't cry after that phone call. I just went still, like a balance sheet the second before it collapses. Mara found me sitting on the floor, staring at a seating chart and a row of unclaimed family place cards. "They're not coming," I said. She didn't flinch. Just sat beside me, leaned her head on my shoulder, and asked the same question she always does when things fall apart. "So what do we build now?" I built this life from scratch. Every exam passed while Eden slept in. Every tax season I powered through with 0 sick days. Every job promotion that got me a pat on the head but no seat at the family table. My parents didn't come to my graduation. Said the flights were too expensive. They didn't celebrate when I bought my first place. Said it wasn't a real house, because it didn't have a yard. When I made partner last year, they sent me a GIF. A GIF. But Eden's gender reveal? Full catered event. Her baby registry? They cleared the entire list. She posted a photo with the caption, "Surrounded by love." And I didn't even make the frame. After the call, I stared at that guest house reservation I'd made for them. Non-refundable. €2,300 for 3 nights. I cancelled it. Not for the refund. Just for the message. You chose not to come. So don't come. I mailed a final envelope to their house. Inside, a formal invitation with the wedding date and a note that read, "This is your last chance to show up." No location. No flight details. If they wanted to be there, they'd have to try. Just once. They didn't. Meanwhile, Eden kept posting shower updates like she was launching a celebrity skincare line. Theme: Little Ray of Sunshine. There were photo shoots with yellow smoke bombs. A mimosa bar. A custom neon sign that said, "Eden and Baby B." I watched from the sidelines while Mara helped me pick wine pairings and finalize a menu with 3 languages on it. Our wedding would be barefoot on stone. With real violins. And a view that looked like God designed it on a good day. The week before we left, my dad texted me. Hope the wedding goes well. Let us know when you're back. I replied. Don't worry. You'll see it. And they would. Because when we posted the photos, they'd finally understand what they gave up. We landed in Italy on a Wednesday morning, jet-lagged but giddy. The villa was everything I'd worked for: two-tiered terraces, lemon groves tumbling down toward the cliffs, and a view so stunning it made people go silent mid-sentence. Mara walked through the wrought iron gate, took one look at the sea, and whispered, "This doesn't feel real." I smiled. It's real. And it's ours. Our closest friends trickled in the next day. We'd kept it small, just people who had proven, over years, that love isn't about DNA or duty. It's about choice. Mara's parents arrived first, arms full of flowers. My college roommate came with a vintage film camera. We laughed over pasta and wine until midnight. No one checked their phones. No one asked if Eden was okay. On Saturday, at sunset, Mara walked barefoot down the stone steps in a simple silk dress. There was no aisle. Just light. She looked like a poem someone had whispered into a breeze. We said our vows in front of the sea. The wind picked up as if on cue, carrying our words out into the horizon. A violinist played something soft and aching. And when we kissed, the guests clapped, and the ocean answered with a crashing wave so loud it made us all laugh through our tears. We dined under string lights that flickered like stars. The chef brought out grilled branzino and hand-pulled pasta with lemon cream sauce. We toasted with limoncello. I gave a short speech, not about absence, but about presence. I used to think family was something you inherited, I said. But it turns out family is something you build. After dessert, our photographer, a quiet genius named Luca, showed us a handful of preview shots. There was one of Mara and me framed by olive branches, the sea behind us. Another of us holding hands by the fire pit, shadows dancing across the terrace. We picked 3 and posted them. No captions. No tags. Just the images. Within 10 minutes, my phone started buzzing. A text from Eden. Then my mom. Then my dad. And then 37 missed calls. They had seen the photos. And the silence was over. At first, I didn't check the messages. Mara and I were curled up in a hammock on the upper terrace, half asleep, half drunk on sunset and limoncello. She looked at me and said, "You don't have to open it." I said, "I know." Then I opened it anyway. First up, Eden's text. "Wait. Is this real? Where are you?" Followed by a blurry screenshot of our wedding photo with a caption. "I thought you said it was going to be small?" Then came my mom. "Blake, this is hurtful. How could you hide something like this? Your father and I are devastated." Dad chimed in with his usual emotional Swiss Army knife. "We would have come if we knew it was this serious." Serious. Like weddings are only real if the venue is in a strip mall or has a dance floor shaped like a heart. I didn't respond. Instead, I put my phone on airplane mode and walked down to the kitchen where Mara was feeding our guests leftover cannoli like she was everyone's favorite cousin. For the next 2 days, we did nothing. We swam in the pool overlooking the cliffs. We played cards with Mara's dad, who cheats with a wink. We made fresh espresso every morning and sat in the courtyard while the lemon trees dropped their fruit like lazy blessings. And every time I walked past my phone charging on the nightstand, it buzzed again. Mom. Dad. Eden. Even my Aunt Carol, who hasn't texted me in 4 years, wrote, "You're tearing this family apart. A baby shower is not a betrayal." Mara said, "Let them keep spinning. That's what they do." But then my dad called Mara. Straight to her phone. She let it ring, handed it to me, and said, "He knows what he's doing." I didn't pick up. I listened to the voicemail instead. His voice was low, practiced. "Blake, we need to talk. You embarrassed us. People are asking where this villa is. It looks expensive. Just call me back so we can clean this up. We didn't know. You didn't tell us. That's not fair." Not fair. I laughed. Not out of spite. Out of pure, exhausted irony. I'd sent the invitations. I'd offered to fly them out. I'd given them every chance to be here. They chose cupcakes and glitter balloons instead. And now, standing in the aftermath, they wanted a redo. But the wedding already happened. And this time, they weren't the main characters. When we got back home, the group chat was on fire. Dozens of messages I hadn't read, all spiraling around one theme. How could you? Mom had sent a 5-paragraph essay disguised as a "we're concerned" note. She was worried about how this would look to extended family. Worried people might assume we're not close. Worried that I had gone Hollywood, just because the wedding wasn't in a church basement with folding chairs and buffet pasta. Eden's messages were more direct. You weaponized your own wedding. This was supposed to be my year. You're jealous of the baby, aren't you? Right. Jealous. Of the unborn child getting more attention than the adult son who just got married. I ignored it all for a few days. Went back to work. Cleaned the inbox. Let the air clear. Then the letters started. Not digital ones. Real ones. One from my dad. One from Eden. One from my mother that came with a passive-aggressive forgiveness journal inside. Each one a careful performance of remorse with just enough barbed wire to draw blood. Eden's ended with, I was your maid of honor when we were kids, remember? You used to love me. Mom's had this gem. It wasn't that we didn't want to come. We just thought you'd understand. Understand what? That my life milestones were optional for them? That being the dependable one meant they could opt out of showing up. I finally texted one sentence in the group chat. You were invited. You chose not to come. That's the whole story. Dad called within minutes. This time, I picked up. Son, he started, like a judge delivering a sentence. We didn't realize the wedding meant that much to you. It didn't, I said. He hesitated. What do you mean? It didn't mean that much to you. That's what mattered. Silence. Then, like he was bargaining at a yard sale. What if we fly out now? Make it up to you. Have a family dinner at the villa, or something. I closed my eyes. Counted to 4. You want to come to the house now? I asked. Just to connect. Show we care. You didn't care when it mattered, I said calmly. You care now because the pictures made you uncomfortable. He said nothing. I added, I'm not punishing anyone. I'm protecting the life I built without you. Then I hung up. I sat on the couch next to Mara, who was grading math tests with a highlighter shaped like a dolphin. She looked up. So? I said. They want a dinner. She blinked. In Italy? I nodded. She shook her head and smiled. Should have RSVP'd when it was free. 2 days later, my mom posted a throwback photo on Facebook of Eden's baby shower. Caption. Where family gathers, joy follows. We always show up for each other. I didn't comment. Didn't message. Didn't rage scroll. But I did print it. Folded it. Slipped it into the same drawer where I keep my cancelled checks and letters I never send. It's amazing how quickly people rewrite history when you take away their ability to control the narrative. In their version, I excluded them. In mine, I gave them every chance. Every invitation. Every update. Every quiet opportunity to say, we're sorry. We'll be there. They chose a shower over my vows. They chose balloons over a barefoot ceremony beside the sea. They chose to skip the chapter where I finally got to matter. But here's the thing they didn't count on. I no longer needed them to show up. Because the people who did? They clapped, laughed, cried, danced, and passed around lemon tarts like communion. They toasted us with their whole hearts. They didn't ask what it cost. So when Mara and I hosted our post-wedding dinner back in the city, we kept it small. No family. Just chosen family. Jordan, my childhood best friend who once taught me how to tie a tie. Nina, my coworker who slipped extra PTO into my calendar when she saw how burned out I was. And Grace, who showed up with soup the day Mara got the flu and ended up staying for a week, washing dishes and telling stories like a live podcast. We drank wine and rewatched the wedding photos projected on the living room wall. One shot lingered. Mara and I laughing, barefoot on that stone terrace, the sea behind us, the sky a shade of gold that doesn't exist in any paint catalog. Someone asked, "Did your family ever come around?" I smiled. "Define come around." They laughed. But here's what I didn't say out loud. No. They didn't come around. They circled the issue. They tossed blame like it was a bouquet no one wanted to catch. They never once said, "We hurt you." Only, "Why are you doing this to us?" And I realized I could spend the rest of my life explaining the difference between consequence and cruelty. Or I could stop replying to questions that don't deserve answers. 3 weeks after we got back from Italy, I received a letter. Not a text. Not an email. A real envelope, heavy with the weight of someone trying to be formal after failing at being decent. It was from my mother. The handwriting on the front had that same old-school neatness she reserved for birthday cards and checks she wrote for Eden's emergencies. Inside, one page. Typed. Signed in blue ink. "Blake, we're ready to talk if you're ready to stop being stubborn. Love. Mom and Dad." No apology. No ownership. Just the same tone they've used my whole life, like I was a child acting out instead of an adult drawing a boundary. I didn't respond. Instead, I did something I should have done years ago. I logged into our old family group chat, clicked "Leave conversation," and shut the door gently behind me. And it was quiet. God, finally quiet. No more passive-aggressive. Just checking in. Texts. No more Eden tagging me in her maternity shoots with captions like, "Family first." No more calls asking if I could help out with the nursery fund, since I didn't have kids yet. It wasn't silence as punishment. It was silence as protection. Because here's the secret no one tells you. There is a peace that comes from not needing to explain yourself anymore. From not being the bridge between people who never learned how to swim. A month later, Mara and I returned to the Amalfi villa. We didn't announce it. We didn't post. We just packed 2 bags, turned off our phones, and went. We cooked dinner on the patio and played jazz too loud. We took naps in the afternoon sun. We argued about board games. We made up. We laughed so hard one night, I knocked over a bottle of wine and just left it on the tiles until morning. It wasn't perfect. It was ours. One morning, over espresso and still wet hair, Mara said, "You seem lighter here." I looked at her and said, "It's the salt air." But it wasn't. It was the freedom of no longer asking to be chosen. See, for years I believed love was something you earned, through loyalty, through effort, through bending yourself into shapes other people could applaud. I thought if I kept showing up, they'd eventually meet me halfway. I believed that family was like credit, that if I just made enough emotional deposits, someday, they'd repay the debt. But love isn't alone. And family? Family is only sacred when it's mutual. Otherwise, it's just paperwork and shared trauma. We stayed in Italy for 2 weeks. During that time, I wrote 4 letters. Not to them, to myself. One for the child I used to be, who tried so hard to be good enough. One for the teenager who couldn't understand why a birthday hug felt like an obligation. One for the adult who thought money could buy peace. And one for the man who finally stopped chasing people who always ran the other direction. I burned the first 3 in the villa's stone fireplace. Kept the 4th. Put it in my wallet. Because sometimes you need to carry your own reminders. The day we flew back, I got a single text from Eden. "Baby came early. Mom says you'd regret not being here. But I know you won't. Just figured I'd say. I see it now. No apology. No excuses. Just a crack in the armor." I didn't reply. Not out of malice. But because some things don't need words. They need time. And space. And silence. And for once, I was willing to give myself all 3. A week later, Mara and I hosted a dinner at our place. Friends. Laughter. Good food. No performances. No scorekeeping. No one asking what it cost. At the end of the night, Mara brought out a small frame. Inside, One of our wedding photos, us barefoot on the terrace, her laughing, me looking at her like I was seeing my future in real time. Under it, she'd written, "This is what happens when you stop waiting for permission to matter." I stared at it for a long time. Then I cried for the first time since that call from my mother. Not because I was sad, but because for the first time in my entire life, I finally felt full. Full of love that didn't need proof. Full of gratitude that wasn't manipulated. Full of peace I didn't have to buy. These days, people still ask me if I regret not working things out with my family. And I tell them the truth. I did not work things out. I worked them out perfectly. I stopped bleeding for people who never brought bandages. I stopped negotiating with ghosts. I stopped asking to be seen. And when I did, I saw myself. That's the story. Not revenge. Not exile. Not some cinematic reckoning where everyone comes crawling back. Just a man, in a villa by the sea, who finally chose peace over proximity. And that's my happy ending.